I, 32F, come from a large, close-knit family with 4 younger brothers: Tom, 30M, Jack, 28M, Mike, 26M, and Chris, 24M. Our bond is unusually strong, forged by tragedy and shared responsibility. When I was 18 and Tom was 16, our parents died in a car accident. It was a devastating blow that changed our lives forever. As the oldest, I stepped up to keep our family together. It wasn't easy. I was barely an adult myself, juggling college classes with part-time jobs while trying to be both sister and parent to 4 grieving boys. There were nights I cried myself to sleep, overwhelmed by the responsibility. But we made it work. I helped Tom and Jack with their homework, attended their parent-teacher conferences, and cheered at their sports games. I taught Mike how to drive and helped Chris apply for his first job. We lived on a tight budget, clipping coupons and shopping at thrift stores. But we always made sure to have fun too, starting silly traditions like our annual water balloon fight to keep our spirits up during tough times. As the years passed, my brothers grew into successful, kind-hearted men. Tom became a software engineer, Jack a pediatrician, Mike a chef, and Chris an entrepreneur. They've always been grateful for the sacrifices I made, treating me with a mix of sisterly love and deep respect. Our annual family reunions became a time to celebrate our bond and how far we've come. This year was special because we all had milestones to celebrate: Tom's promotion to senior engineer, Jack buying his first house, Mike's engagement to his girlfriend, Lily, 25F, and Chris launching his food truck business. We decided to splurge on a nice resort for the weekend. It was a big step up from our usual backyard barbecues, but we felt we deserved it. Everything was going great until Jack's new wife, Melissa, 27F, arrived. I'd only met Melissa twice before, at their engagement party and the wedding. She seemed nice enough, if a bit reserved. Jack had mentioned she came from a wealthy family and sometimes felt out of place with our boisterous clan, but I figured she'd warm up to us eventually. The first day of the reunion went smoothly. We had a nice dinner, sharing stories and catching up. Melissa was quiet but polite. The real trouble started the next day during our traditional water balloon fight. We were all out by the pool, laughing and pelting each other with water balloons. Even Lily, who was new to the family, jumped right in. But Melissa stood off to the side, arms crossed, looking uncomfortable. I tried to include her, offering her a balloon, but she just shook her head. Then, a stray balloon thrown by Mike splashed near Melissa's feet, getting water on her designer sandals. Her face twisted in disgust, and she let out a shriek that silenced everyone. "What is wrong with you people?" she yelled. "This is a 5-star resort, not some trashy water park. You're embarrassing yourselves and everyone around you." We all froze, shocked by her outburst. I tried to smooth things over, explaining that this was just our family tradition and we weren't bothering anyone else. But Melissa wasn't having it. "Well, maybe it's time to grow up and act like adults," she sneered. "This isn't some trailer park barbecue. God, I can't believe I married into this family of overgrown children." That's when things got ugly. My brothers and their partners all jumped to defend our family honor. Lily, usually sweet and soft-spoken, threw her drink in Melissa's face, yelling, "You want trashy? I'll show you trashy." It devolved into a full-on screaming match. Melissa hurled insults about our upbringing, calling us backwoods hicks, and saying she should have known better than to marry someone from the wrong side of the tracks. We fired back, with Chris yelling about how money can't buy class, and Mike defending our family's resilience in the face of tragedy. Security ended up escorting us all out of the resort. In the parking lot, Jack finally snapped. He told Melissa he couldn't believe she'd disrespect his family like that, especially knowing what we'd been through. They had a huge fight right there, which ended with Jack telling Melissa to find her own way home because he was done. I thought that would be the end of it. A nasty fight, yes, but something we could move past. I was wrong. Melissa, it turns out, comes from a wealthy, well-connected family, and she's been on a mission to ruin us ever since the reunion incident. She's been sending emails to my workplace, trying to get me fired by claiming I physically assaulted her at the reunion. She's left dozens of fake negative reviews for Chris's food truck, tanking his ratings on Yelp and Google. She even tried to get Mike's fiancée Lily fired from her job as a kindergarten teacher by claiming she was stealing supplies from the school. Most of my coworkers and bosses know it's all lies, but there are a few who've always had it out for me and are using this as ammunition. They're constantly making snide comments about my violent tendencies and suggesting I'm not fit to be around children. It's making my work life miserable. My brothers are all furious and want to take legal action against Melissa for harassment and defamation. Jack is devastated and feeling guilty that he brought this drama into our lives. He admitted that there were some red flags with Melissa before they got married. She made comments about his quaint upbringing and seemed embarrassed to introduce him to her friends. But he was so in love that he ignored the warning signs. Part of me thinks we should just ignore Melissa and hope she gets bored and moves on. But another part of me is worried that if we don't put a stop to this now, she'll keep escalating. I'm worried about my job and my brother's livelihoods, but I also don't want to make things worse by engaging with her more. I don't know what to do. Should we pursue legal action? Try to reason with her family? Just ignore it and hope it blows over? I'm at a loss, and any advice would be appreciated. Update 1. It's been 2 weeks since my last post, and the situation with Melissa has only gotten worse. We decided to send her a cease and desist letter, hoping it would scare her into stopping her harassment campaign. In hindsight, that may have been a mistake. The day after she received the letter, someone keyed my car in the school parking lot where I teach. The words "trash teacher" were scratched deeply into the hood. I couldn't prove it was Melissa, but the timing was incredibly suspicious. I've never had issues with anyone at my school before, and this happened right after we sent the letter. Then, Chris's food truck was vandalized. All 4 tires were slashed, and Roach Coach was spray-painted in big letters on the side. He lost a full week of business getting it repaired and repainted. Again, we couldn't definitively prove it was Melissa, but it seemed too coincidental to be random vandalism. The final straw came when Mike and Lily's wedding venue suddenly canceled on them. The manager claimed they'd received multiple complaints about the couple being disruptive and violent. They lost their $5,000 deposit and are now scrambling to find a new place for their wedding, which is only 3 months away. We've all filed police reports, but without concrete proof that Melissa is behind these incidents, there's not much they can do. They basically told us to install security cameras and keep detailed records of any future incidents. We've all done that now, setting up cameras at our homes and businesses, hoping to catch her in the act if she tries anything else. Jack is an absolute mess. He's drinking too much and blaming himself for everything. He admitted that Melissa had shown some warning signs of being controlling and elitist before they got married, but he ignored them because he was in love. Now he's kicking himself for not seeing her true colors sooner. One night, after having a few too many beers, Jack opened up about his relationship with Melissa. They met at a charity gala where Jack was volunteering as part of a hospital outreach program. Melissa was there with her parents, who are major donors to the hospital. Jack said he was immediately taken with her beauty and charm. Their whirlwind romance moved quickly. Melissa showered Jack with expensive gifts and introduced him to a world of luxury he'd never experienced before. Looking back, Jack realizes she was trying to mold him into her idea of the perfect husband, always making little comments about his clothes or manners. Jack confessed that Melissa had made disparaging remarks about our family before, calling our Christmas gifts quaint and suggesting he distance himself from us to advance his career. He always defended us, but he also admitted to downplaying our family traditions and background when talking to her friends and family. He's deeply ashamed of that now. Tom, always the level-headed one in our family, suggested we try to meet with Melissa's parents. He thought maybe they could rein her in, or at least help us understand why she's acting this way. It took some doing, and a lot of unanswered calls and emails, but we finally got a meeting with her father, Richard, 60M. To our surprise, Richard was horrified when we told him what had been going on. He had no idea about any of it. Apparently, Melissa had told her parents that we were the ones harassing her, and that Jack had abandoned her for no reason. She painted herself as the victim of a cruel, low-class family that was trying to drive her away out of jealousy. Richard apologized profusely and promised to talk to Melissa. He seemed genuinely upset and embarrassed by her behavior. He even offered to pay for the damages to my car and Chris's food truck, which we reluctantly accepted. We didn't want to take his money, but the repairs had put a serious strain on our finances. During our conversation with Richard, we learned more about Melissa's background. She's an only child who was raised in extreme privilege. Richard admitted that he and his wife may have spoiled her, always giving in to her demands to avoid conflict. He shared a story about Melissa throwing a fit at her Sweet 16 party because the car they bought her was the wrong color. Instead of disciplining her, they exchanged the car. Richard also revealed that Melissa had been in therapy on and off since her teens for anxiety and depression. He wondered aloud if perhaps she had stopped taking her medication, which might explain her erratic behavior. He promised to look into it and get her help if needed. We left the meeting feeling cautiously optimistic. Richard seemed sincere in his desire to address the situation, and we hoped that with her father involved, Melissa would finally back off. He said he'd be in touch within a few days after speaking with Melissa. But it's been 5 days now, and we haven't heard anything. My calls to Richard have gone straight to voicemail. I'm trying not to jump to conclusions, but I can't shake this feeling that it's not over yet. Melissa has proven to be vindictive and unpredictable, and I worry that involving her father might have only made things worse. For now, we're all on high alert, watching for any sign of retaliation from Melissa. Mike and Lily are still struggling to find a new wedding venue, and the stress is taking a toll on their relationship. Chris is working overtime to make up for the business he lost while his truck was out of commission, and I'm walking on eggshells at work, worried that Melissa might try to show up and cause a scene. I'll update again if anything else happens, but I'm really hoping this is the beginning of the end of this nightmare. We've been through so much as a family, and I hate seeing my brothers suffer because of this woman. All we can do now is stick together and hope that Melissa finally realizes it's time to move on. Update 2. I wish I had better news to share, but things have only escalated. Further with Melissa. It's been a week since my last update, and the situation has gone from bad to worse. A few days after our meeting with Richard, Melissa showed up at my school. She somehow got past the front office and burst into my classroom during my prep period. Thankfully, no students were present, but a couple of other teachers witnessed her tirade. Melissa was clearly unstable, her eyes wild and her words slurred. She accused me of stealing her husband and called me a homewrecker. She ranted about how our family had ruined her life and turned her own parents against her. It was a disturbing scene that left me shaken. The principal had to physically remove Melissa from the building. He called me into his office afterward, and while he was understanding, he was also clearly concerned about the disruption to the school. He gently suggested I take a leave of absence until things blow over. I refused. I won't let Melissa drive me away from my job and my students. But I could tell he wasn't happy with my decision. News of the incident spread quickly through the school. Now there are all sorts of wild rumors flying around. Some students are saying I'm having an affair with my brother-in-law, while others claim I'm part of some criminal family. It's mortifying and making it hard to do my job effectively. Then, last night, things came to a head. We were all at Tom's house for our weekly family dinner, a tradition we started after our parents died to make sure we always stayed connected. We were just finishing up dessert when we heard a commotion outside. We rushed out to find Melissa in Tom's driveway, clearly intoxicated, trying to pour lighter fluid on Jack's car. Yes, you read that right. She was screaming incoherently about making us pay and burning away the stain on her family's reputation. Thankfully, in her inebriated state, she couldn't get the childproof cap off the lighter fluid bottle. But she was growing increasingly agitated, slamming the bottle against the car and leaving dents in the hood. We called the police immediately. While we waited for them to arrive, we tried to calm Melissa down, but she was beyond reason. She alternated between sobbing about how we'd ruined her life and threatening to expose all our secrets and make us pay. When the police arrived, they arrested Melissa for attempted arson, public intoxication, and vandalism. As they were putting her in the squad car, she started spewing more threats, saying she had powerful friends who would destroy us. Jack is beside himself with guilt and shame. He's talking about moving to another state to get away from all this drama. He feels responsible for bringing Melissa into our lives and potentially jeopardizing all of our careers and reputations. The rest of us are just in shock. We never imagined things would escalate to this level. What started as a petty argument at a family reunion has turned into a nightmare that's affecting every aspect of our lives. Richard called me this morning. He was livid. Not at us, but at Melissa and himself. He apologized profusely for not taking our concerns more seriously and for failing to rein Melissa in. He said he's cut her off financially and is insisting she get intensive psychiatric help. He also offered to cover any legal fees if we want to pursue charges or a restraining order against Melissa. We're meeting with a lawyer tomorrow to discuss our options. I'm exhausted and stressed, but also relieved that we finally have some concrete evidence of Melissa's behavior. Her arrest is on record now, which should help if we need to take legal action to protect ourselves. I'll update one last time after we meet with the lawyer and figure out our next steps. Right now, I'm just trying to hold it together for my brothers and focus on getting through each day. This ordeal has been a stark reminder of how quickly life can change and how important it is to have a strong support system. Update 3. This will be my final update on the Melissa situation. After meeting with the lawyer, we decided to press charges for the attempted arson and pursue a restraining order against Melissa for all of us. It wasn't an easy decision, but we felt it was necessary for our safety and peace of mind. The legal process has been draining, but it's almost over. Melissa took a plea deal to avoid jail time. She's been sentenced to 90 days in a residential rehab facility, followed by intensive outpatient treatment, mandatory anger management classes, and 3 years of probation. She's also required to stay at least 500 feet away from all of us, our homes, and our workplaces. Richard has been true to his word, covering all our legal fees and the costs of the damage Melissa caused. He's also paying for her rehab and ongoing therapy. In our last conversation, he expressed deep remorse for not recognizing his daughter's issues sooner and enabling her behavior over the years. He shared that Melissa has been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and had stopped taking her medication months ago, which likely contributed to her erratic behavior. Jack is doing better, though he's still struggling with guilt and self-doubt. He's started therapy to work through his feelings about the marriage and divorce. He's talking about taking a sabbatical from work to travel and clear his head, which I think would be good for him. The whole experience has made him reevaluate his life choices and priorities. As for the rest of us, we're slowly getting back to normal. My principal has been supportive since Melissa's arrest, made it clear that I was the victim, not the instigator. The rumors at school have mostly died down, though I still get the occasional odd look from a student or parent. Chris's food truck business is picking up again. The publicity from Melissa's arrest actually brought him some sympathetic customers, and his Yelp rating has recovered. Mike and Lily found a new venue for their wedding. It's smaller than their original choice, but they say it feels more them anyway. They're focusing on celebrating their love rather than putting on a big show. Tom has been our rock through all of this. He's taken over a lot of the legal and logistical details, allowing the rest of us to focus on healing and moving forward. I don't know what we'd do without his level head and organizational skills. We've all agreed to be more cautious about who we let into our tight-knit family circle in the future. But we're also determined not to let this experience make us bitter or mistrustful. Our bond as siblings has only grown stronger through all of this. The whole ordeal has made us appreciate our family traditions even more. We had our annual water balloon fight last weekend, in Tom's backyard this time, not at a fancy resort. As we laughed and dodged water balloons, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't experienced in months. We've been through so much together, and we always come out stronger on the other side. I've learned a lot from this experience, about the importance of trusting my instincts, about setting boundaries, and about the power of family support. It's been a tough road, but I'm proud of how we've handled it.